Microsoft is on an upward curve, there's just no question about it. After a very strong E3 in which the company announced it had acquired 4 new studios, it seems that Microsoft is not here to mess around.
Speaking to the Iron Lords podcast, Undead Labs design director Richard Fogg spoke about how the recent Microsoft acquisition has affected the studio. One of the topics to come up in the discussion was creative control and how being owned by Microsoft would affect Undead Labs creatively. Fogg said, quote, "It's still kind of early days in terms of what that's going to shape up to be. I get the impression I'm going to be working on State of Decay for the foreseeable future. I think, in my personal opinion, Microsoft is swinging for the fences. They're not fooling around. They really want to be on top. They want to be on top with the best games, the best hardware, and making people happy." Fogg was also asked if Undead Labs would be able to make use of dedicated servers for State of Decay, something which fans complained about when the game launched. Fogg replied saying, quote, "The landscape is entirely changed. Undead Labs was one of 5 game developers added by Microsoft in an effort to expand their first-party output. Alongside Undead Labs, Microsoft also acquired Playground Games, Ninja Theory, and Compulsion Games. And they also set up their own studio called The Initiative."
Vogue also said that the studio is actually unsure if they would exist in a year's time, so being acquired by Microsoft has kind of secured their future, so they're safe now and they can keep making zombie games apparently. I mean, they're called Undead Labs, so imagine if they start making racing games or something.
I'd love them to. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Undead Labs, yeah, well, football, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's, yeah, they kind of backed themselves into a corner there. But apparently Microsoft have got big plans. They're very ambitious. They seem to be facilitating whatever they need. If they're saying that Microsoft is swinging for the fences, this guy's saying that they are not here to mess around. So what's made him say that behind the scenes makes you wonder, like, is he just getting loads of support? Is he getting financial backing, like, up to the ears? Like, what, you know, it just paints a positive picture of Microsoft. Of course he's going to be saying nice things because they've just literally kind of signed the deal or announced the deal. So they are a Microsoft first-party studio now, and they can keep making State of Decay for the foreseeable future for Microsoft.
And one thing that's apparent from the interview is that he says that, you know, Microsoft is supporting. They're not in any financial difficulties like there might have been. So going forward, it only looks bright, you know, for them, and they might be expanding. They can't say for certain yet, but that's the way forward. And you can think that's the same for Ninja Theory and Compulsion Games and the rest too, because Microsoft needed first-party games, right? And Microsoft were looking to make investments. We were thinking maybe they were going to buy Steam at one point, off Valve, because we thought maybe that was a thing. Where are they going to put their money? This is the answer, right? They bought loads of game development studios like this, and it looks like they're pumping them full of resources in order to be competitive. Probably in the next console generation, because that's maybe a couple of years off. So we'll see what happens from here. I'm always optimistic, you know me. So hopefully we'll get some good games on Xbox. We'll get some good games, and fans will be happy again. Yay! And then we can have more console wars and all that shit, because everyone loves that, right?
In other Microsoft news, over the weekend, some people discovered they were able to download Forza Horizon 4, which isn't actually out yet. And it won't be out yet for quite a few months. Redditor Datenshi noticed that Forza Horizon 4 had started to preload on their system from the Windows Store. Datenshi said while the game downloaded, it was unplayable and they couldn't do much more than fish around in the game's files. The only thing that actually emerged from the download error was an incomplete list of cars featured in the game. Shortly after the leak was officially acknowledged by the Forza Twitter account, which said, quote, "Today, some of you noticed Forza Horizon 4 game files preloading on your PCs. This was not intended, and you don't have to do anything. The final game will download automatically when it is released. If you'd like, you can safely uninstall the downloaded files." It appears to be an internal build of the game that was accidentally published, but due to the fact Windows encrypts everything it downloads from the Windows Store, Datenshi couldn't do anything but look at the files. This is actually tied to a version of the game that does give you kind of early access, because it's the Ultimate Edition. If you pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition, you get early access, but it's meant to be 4 days, not 4 months. So there's obviously someone's just put like the wrong thing in the like little data thing on the back end or whatever. I don't know programming. It's not even programming, isn't it? Is it? It's just computer stuff.
It's hacking and shit, isn't it? Is it? It's
old. It's so someone's just made a mistake, a simple mistake on the back end, and then this version of the game's been partially downloaded by people, and they couldn't do anything with it really except just look at what cars are in the game, which is cool if you're interested.
Yeah. And according to a report by Windows Central, Microsoft might be working with hardware company Razer to bring keyboard and mouse support to Xbox consoles. Early this year, Microsoft reportedly held a presentation for developers where they detailed their plans for keyboard and mouse on console. Razer joined Microsoft at the presentation, and the two companies reportedly announced a partnership to bring support for Razer peripherals to the Xbox. One of the peripherals on display at the presentation was the Razer Turret keyboard and mouse set, which is designed to be sofa-friendly. Microsoft also apparently offered guidance to developers about how to implement keyboard and mouse support into their games. All Xbox titles must support Xbox One controllers, and there can only be one keyboard and mouse paired with the console at any given time.
As for how keyboard and mouse would actually work with competitive multiplayer games, Microsoft said it's entirely up to developers how they want to support it. So if developers want to make it so keyboard and mouse users can only play with other keyboard and mouse users, then they can. According to Windows Central, Microsoft did suggest developers take keyboard and mouse into account when matchmaking players. The presentation also apparently said any USB mouse that works with Windows would work with the Xbox One as well. However, Bluetooth keyboard and mouse will not be supported by the Xbox. Now, Windows Central said they were unable to confirm if any developers were actually working on keyboard and mouse for Xbox, and they are unsure if Microsoft is actually moving ahead with these plans or if they had been cancelled. So this is information that's been dug up from earlier in the year, basically. It's a presentation from earlier on in the year that's just emerged, so and they haven't been able to confirm. Windows Central, the website, weren't able to confirm if it's still the case now and where things stand now, but recently, earlier in 2018, Microsoft were looking at mouse and keyboard support for Xbox, and it still might be the case. We just don't know.
Yeah.
My first thought is like strategy games, because there's a lot of strategy games on the console. It'd be nice to play on a big TV, I guess.
That is for sure. And my first thought is something like Red Dead Redemption 2 mouse and keyboard, or like all the classic games like that you wanted to play on mouse and keyboard that were only on console. Yeah. Red Dead Redemption being among them. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. I am a mouse and keyboard player. I wonder what kind of format it will take, though, whether it'll just be like would it be a nice little glass thing that you stick down, or can you use it for on a table? I don't know. I had a look at the Razer Turret keyboard, so that was kind of, it looked like it just rested on your lap, basically, and it looked like it could work. I didn't look at it and go, wow, that's genius, why hasn't anyone done that before? But it does look like it could work. I'd need to test it on myself before seeing what it's like. But obviously it's a bit hazy when it comes to competitive multiplayer, but as we've already covered in the voiceover there, you can solve that by matchmaking keyboard and mouse with other keyboard and mouse, and because obviously there'd be a huge advantage for keyboard and mouse players otherwise. If you just put one keyboard and mouse player in a 64-player Battlefield game, everyone else is dead, mate. Even the players on his own team. It's just like... It makes a lot of sense as well with Xbox doing the... what's the thing they do with it? You can play on Xbox and PC.
Play anywhere, yeah.
The play owner scheme that I've got. It makes a lot of sense because a lot of the games you can play on PC, mouse and keyboard already, so having that on Xbox, it kind of makes a lot of sense.
You could cross-platform. You could get the keyboard and mouse players playing with the PC. There's possibilities. Options is always good, as far as I'm concerned, and hopefully this will turn out to be an option. So that's a little part of Microsoft news for you there. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. There should be another video on your screens right there if you want to watch that, and the link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.